Hello, this is Shift Solari.
How long have you been with SVT Shift?
I've been with SVT since its founding in 2018, and I've been working with Zay, Levi, and a handful of the others that currently work with SVT for a year or two before SVT was formed.
What roles have you done for Stellazzio?
I played a dancer and the fox in The Little Prince, Bella and the ghost of Starlight present in A Starlight Carol, Phantom in The Phantom of the Opera, and I was a VIP usher in The Worker.
Out of all of the roles that you have taken on in SVT, what was your favorite one and why?
The Phantom by far. I really enjoyed playing the villain role. Probably a bit too much. Eric's demeanor in that production was incredibly hot and cold, so shifting between like a soft tone and a raging lunatic and back again was a lot of fun. Most of all was the stunts that we performed, like when the Phantom drops down and grabs Christine, while the text set off the explosions and the Shiva emotes, or the dance scene, which I think was the habanero. I get my dances on that one confused, but where Phantom jumps from the rear balcony and pimp slaps Christine and then kidnaps her for a second time. The fight scene, of course, in which the choreography was really tricky on the Red Mage because the Red Mages don't really have any attack spells that you can use outside of combat. So that's really a credit to the writers, the text, and of course Levi, who did the choreography on the fight scene for masterfully putting all that together.
What kinds of challenges did you have to overcome as the Phantom?
Phantom was by far the most technical role I've ever played. The little subtle details like changing where I look for certain lines or moving around the stage in between the lines and the emotes. Sometimes you don't have a whole lot of time to get to your next mark before the next line, so you really got to be on it. Hitting the piano stool just right so I don't sit facing the wrong direction, that one was pretty tricky. A lot of the camera challenges on the balcony scenes because the ceiling is kind of smashed against the top of my head, so the camera doesn't really behave very well. Um, that was pretty tricky. So I don't walk off the edge of the stage, up there. So you have to turn the camera to kind of spin it around so you can see where you're going. It took a lot of practice getting those little details down.
Can you explain how rehearsals work in a virtual setting? Does it differ from physical rehearsals?
Virtual setting, we're usually given the script about a week or two in advance of rehearsals, so we use that time to set up our base macros. Once the rehearsals begin, it's a constant tweaking of those macros, like adding or changing emotes, working with the other cast members on macro weight timing, and then adding blocking to that later. Our macros pretty much evolve from the point we start rehearsals right up until the night before we do the performances, so it's constant tweaking. As far as the actual rehearsals go, we usually start rehearsing a scene or two a night, depending upon the length and the complexity of those scenes. That eventually build up to maybe an act a night as the pieces begin to come together and the cast members become more comfortable with the timing and the blocking and the macros and things like that. If there's a part in the scene, such as like a dance routine that is heavily choreographed, they'll often have their own rehearsals that will eventually kind of get merged into the scenes with the rest of the cast. As for physical rehearsals go, I can't really say. I don't have a background in theater. I got to play a tree once in first grade, so that was a lot of fun. Yeah, not really. Based on what I've heard others talking about, though, it seems pretty similar.
Has virtual theater changed the way you view the arts?
Oh yeah, definitely. When I first heard about the virtual theater troops putting on plays in the game, I had a very minimalistic, nonsensical kind of image in my head of players in the silly glamour, emoting dialogue on a basic stage panel with like three players in the audience. Right? It was a pretty silly image. I was curious about it, so when Zay invited me to watch one of the rehearsals for Maria and Draco, I went to check it out. It turns out I was wrong. They're fully decorated sets, choreographed fight scenes, set changes, the works. It looks like something that you would see in a real theater, I would imagine. And it's incredibly impressive the amount of time and detail that they put into these productions. I just remember thinking, that looks like a lot of fun. I definitely have found a new respect for the theater.
Do you have any advice for future virtual theater members?
Of course, we rehearse roughly 5 days a week for about an hour, hour and a half. a day sometimes for about 2 to 3 months before we actually do the live shows. Just be prepared. It's a large commitment and requires a lot of time and sacrifice to put those together. In the end, though, when the final show is over, there's no feeling like it. It's 100% worth the time and effort you put into it. Also, mistakes are going to happen on the stage. There's no amount of rehearsals that can really prepare you for it. Obviously, rehearsals do prepare you for some of the more common mistakes, but sometimes just things go wrong. If you make a mistake, just push on through it like nothing happened. Stay calm, don't freak out, and have that cancel macro ready at all times.
Thanks for sharing your thoughts and experiences with us, Shift. That is the end of our interview for today. If you'd like to learn more about the inner workings of Stellazzio Virtual Theatre, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, or Facebook to get notified about future interviews. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.